Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price versus Grayscale Bitcoin Trust or GBTC price and which one has outperformed, historically speaking, and given you a better return for your money. Let's get it. So as you guys can see here, I have a chart by chart comparison pulled up. We got Bitcoin on the right and Bitcoin on the left, GBTC on the right. So as you guys can see, the GBTC fund has been around for quite some time. It's been around basically since 2015, but we're not going to include this because we're not really seeing much the price do much of anything during that time frame. So we're going to take a look at 2017 and 2021, which were the most recent bull runs in crypto. Now, before we get into that, something to keep in mind: the Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin itself, and GBTC has never experienced a Fed tightening cycle. You guys got to remember Bitcoin was created in, I think, 2010 or 2011. That was after the great financial crisis of 2008, 2009. So we haven't really truly experienced a Fed tightening cycle, a true Fed tightening cycle, I should say, because there was the 2020 Rona dump, but that was a pandemic. That was something different. So the Fed had to print money to kind of save the economy, so to speak. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about like an actual 2 to 3 year tightening cycle, potential bear market, all that jazz. So just keep that in mind before we get into this. We've never been in a Fed tightening cycle with Bitcoin before, so this is completely new territory for the crypto space. So with that being said, let's get into it. The current price of Bitcoin, as you guys can see, is just slightly above 34,000. We do have a golden cross on the MACD on the weekly, which is pretty bullish, and it bounced off that zero level, so that's definitely bullish, I would say. The bulls still have control of the market. RSI bounced off of the 50 level, so that's still bullish, and we have had a triple crossing on the EMAs here, as you can see. The yellow, which is the 8 EMA, the lowest time frame one, has crossed above both the 21 and the 51, and we have had a bounce off of these EMAs into macro resistance, so that's also very bullish. However, do understand that the Bitcoin price may possibly have somewhat of a rough time getting above this macro resistance level because it was tested many times over the years. So that's kind of the current price of Bitcoin. Now let's get into the historical data. So what we're looking for here is overall total returns, basically what you would have made from the bottom to the top in terms of both percentage and dollar gains. So I'm going to try to zoom out here as much as I can on the chart to give you guys a really, really good picture. Oh, sorry about that. Really, really good picture here on the 2017 timeframe, and kind of more or less what we're looking at in terms of percentage and dollar gains. So we'll just say that the bottom, if I can get to it, was roughly right about here. Okay, right around I would say March of 2017 would have been. It appears to be so roughly about the bottom of Bitcoin. So if we take a percentage gain here, you guys can see that it's roughly about $750 up to 20,000 on Bitcoin. Actually, I really need to zoom in here. Sorry, these Bitcoin charts can be kind of ridiculous sometimes when it comes to the parabolic moves. But then again, that is the nature of crypto. So, yeah, we'll say that basically maybe August of 2016 would probably be the most accurate time frame. So August of 2016, you would have got in at $612. And the peak, as crazy as this may seem for people who don't know about crypto, the moves really can be like this. Trust me, I experienced this kind of movement firsthand. So we'll basically round it down, say 19.5 with $620. So you got 19,500 divided by 620. So you would have experienced in Bitcoin by itself about a 31.5x. Now we're going to measure that same time frame on the GBTC chart. So once again, I got to kind of scroll in here a lot and go back to where the price was during that time frame on GBTC, which is right around this area. So we'll just call the bottom of this thing roughly about $1 even though I know it's actually a little bit lower than that. It's at 88 cents, but that's not the exact same candle. That's a little bit later. So we'll call this $1 even, and the peak of Bitcoin, we'll say it was at basically this candle close here, so roughly about $32. So basically how you would calculate this is $32 divided by basically the top divided by the bottom, so you get a 32x on your money overall. So you would have actually made slightly more money on GBTC during that same run up than you would have on the actual Bitcoin itself. But keep in mind, when you own GBTC, you're having exposure to the Bitcoin price. Okay, Grayscale owns the Bitcoin. You do not own the Bitcoin. So basically, the share price mirrors the actual price action of the underlying asset, in this case, which is Bitcoin. And Grayscale would be holding the Bitcoin and then giving people exposure to the price of Bitcoin without actually owning it, without having to actually have your own keys, your own private seed phrase, cold storage wallet equipment, writing down, very numeric and literal random passwords that, have very strong encryption. They're very hard to hack, that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't have had to deal with all that with the GBTC, but with the Bitcoin, you would have had to deal with that. So we're going to go to the next major cycle, which is 2021. We really only have 2 to go off of right now because Bitcoin itself was actually around long before GBTC, it seems. So pretty much all we have is just these 2 actual market cycle tops here. So we will take the bottom as it appears to be on GBTC. So, hold on a sec. So, okay, so here's what the actual bottom would have looked like. So basically this price right here at 3,200 on Bitcoin, as you can see on the right, it's pretty much almost exactly the bottom on GBTC. So we know that the peak, ultimately, as you guys can see, GBTC did have a second peak similar to Bitcoin, but it was lower than Bitcoin's, whereas Bitcoin's was higher than the first peak on Bitcoin. So we're going to take we'll just go with the maximum top here. So 69K divided by 3,200. So we'll say 69K divided by 3,200. So you would have gotten from the bottom to the top roughly about a 21.5x on Bitcoin. So if we take a look at the GBTC chart, you can see the bottom here is roughly at about looks like about 385 a share. We'll just round it and say 390 a share. And then the peak would have been roughly at about $58. Now keep in mind, it's very, very difficult to time the top and the bottom. It's nearly impossible. So, or the exact top and the exact bottom. I'm honestly not sure if there's even Bitcoin whales or any financial whales in general that can do it perfectly, to be honest. That's how difficult it is. So, but the idea is to, generally speaking, you want to try to capture maybe like 60 to 75% of the move is, I would say, a good profit, not financial advice. But as you guys can see on the Bitcoin, the spot Bitcoin itself versus GBTC, you would have actually made a little bit more money on spot than you would have GBTC. But then again, if you had $1,000 invested in spot, you would have made 21,000. And if you had $1,000 invested in GBTC, you still would have made roughly about 15K. So that's, a 15x is actually pretty good for Bitcoin. Or any return on investment. That's an excellent return. Now, in terms of Bitcoin versus the altcoins, generally speaking, they're going to give you a better return. Bitcoin's a little bit safer, so to speak. It's more risk adverse than altcoins. Altcoins are extremely risky. Okay, you can make a lot more money in them, but you can also lose a lot more money. The altcoins can also have the potential to go to zero. They could also never recover in price. That's the risk you're taking with altcoins, but high risk, high reward, high risk, that kind of thing. That's why a lot of people don't touch crypto. They stay in stocks because it's less risky. Plus, you have SIPC insurance, which covers um, people's assets. I think it's like up to $500,000 or something like that on every brokerage account. But you don't have that with the actual spot Bitcoins. So some of these crypto institutions, they may offer like supplementary insurance that covers depositors, but I'm not so sure about the details of that. But that's just something to keep in mind in terms of like altcoins versus Bitcoin and, crypto versus stocks, that kind of thing. So anyways, this is the historical comparison between both Bitcoin and Grayscale's GBTC Trust, or the Bitcoin Trust. Keep in mind that spot Bitcoin ETFs are potentially on the horizon. Grayscale is one of those applicants, along with BlackRock and ARK and some other people. So could that send the price of Bitcoin to $500,000, $1 million, $2 million per Bitcoin? I mean, I suppose it's possible. Anything's possible in markets, but it's really hard to say. I mean, we've never seen a spot Bitcoin ETF in the US. I believe there is a spot Bitcoin ETF in Canada. There may be some spot Bitcoin ETFs in other countries, but we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to see if it happens, when it happens. Excuse me. And what the price will do. So, anyways, hope you all enjoyed the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see y'all later. Peace.